unapologetic Aishwarya at the Cannes 2026. For more than 2 decades, Aishwarya Rai Bachchan has been one of the most recognizable faces at the Cannes Film Festival, representing Indian cinema on one of the world's biggest red carpets. Aishwarya's every look has made headlines, be it her powdery blue Cinderella gown or walking down the red carpet like a vision in white and sporting a sindoor. This year was just as buzzworthy. Aishwarya in a sapphire-blue gown practically broke the internet, with fans flooding social media over its metallic draping. Aishwarya Rai, who has represented L'Oreal Paris at Cannes since 2003 as a global brand ambassador, left fans cheering for her on the internet with her latest look, a layered tuxedo with a feather bow. Though as usual, alongside the admiration came a fresh wave of commentary online, dissecting her appearance, styling choices, fashion risks. Sure, the conversation soon moved beyond style, reigniting a familiar debate around how women, particularly public figures, are judged for their looks and their bodies. The debate has once again highlighted the pressures faced by female celebrities, where discussions about achievements and longevity are often overshadowed by commentary on appearance and body shaming. Aishwarya, who has been associated with Cannes for over 20 years and remains one of India's biggest global icons, recognized all over, continues to command attention on the international stage. Let's not forget this. She is a self-made woman achiever. Indians need to get used to this. Yet, her latest appearance has also triggered a larger conversation around beauty standards, ageism, body shaming, and the scrutiny faced by women in the public eye, which is not really about what they do. And fair enough, as I said, we have no problems. Nobody should have any problems about critiquing looks, praising looks. That's part of the deal. Fair enough. But where does one need to stop? After decades of success and global recognition, why is the conversation around Aishwarya Rai Bachchan still so often centered on how she looks rather than what she represents? You may like her looks or not, but Cannes hasn't decided on body sizes, and Indians need to stop body shaming. I'm being joined at this point by Ishita Arun, who's an Indian actress and writer. Thank you very much, Ishita, for joining us. Means a lot that you took the time out. But here's the big question. Where are you and what do you really think about this whole discourse, which is unappetizing? Is it just that people cannot come to terms that women after a particular age can be huge achievers? They just don't know how to stop where they need to stop. Critiquing looks is one part. Going beyond that into body shaming, into so many other discourses altogether on another level. How do you look at this?
So firstly, thank you for having me. Little known fact, Ash was my senior in school and I know her personally on close quarters. And when you wrote into me, I felt compelled to kind of, having known her for so many years, not just for her, but as a woman, I felt compelled to kind of come on the panel.
Thank you.
I'm not apologetic about how I'm looking, which is manically Monday and unkept. But here's the deal. I find it fascinating that we still discuss a woman's body as if it's still public property, okay? Bear in mind, we're in 2026. But, judging by what's happening in India right now, that shouldn't, make any difference, one must think. But somewhere between... admiration and ownership, people start feeling entitled and think it's their birthright to comment. And let's just focus on the person that we're talking about. This is Aishwarya Rai, okay? She has, like you said yourself, has represented India globally for decades. Perhaps, I know that the year I was in school, when she won, and I remember that feeling. I remember her coming to school, in her victory lap. That was unheard of. We're not just talking about a beautiful woman. We're talking about someone who carried India globally through films, through beauty pageants, international platforms, or like cultural representations forerunner, I would say. And I mean this in the truest sense of the word, because it was like to be For years, her appearance at Cannes Film Festival, it was not just a fashion moment, it was unheard of for somebody to be associated with L'Oreal
Absolutely.
and be at the red carpet rubbing shoulders with international stars. She was like a forerunner. And I would say, like, let's talk about Pride and Prejudice, Pink Panther, Vogue covers, the Oprah interview. I mean, for years, she has been one of the first few faces through which the world really identified with India and saw India, right? And it's really ironic that now, here is a woman we celebrated for years who was, our pride and the blue-eyed baby, so to say. Um, and we've suddenly reduced her to weight. And, that's really sad because I just feel like, yes, public scrutiny is a part and parcel of the industry we live in. So it's not like we're working in, right? Um, but there is a limit, and that threshold is one which is very, very easily crossed. World over, I would say, but also specifically in India. Okay. Um, I'm, and this is an age of body positivity, right? One would imagine that uh, we are in this era of celebrating shapes and sizes, and here we are pulling a woman down just because she chose to age and do that gracefully. It doesn't mean, I think as a society, we've lost the perspective of what it's just a word that we're throwing around, right? Um, I think what it actually means is that, everybody shouldn't look the same. A woman has the right to age gracefully and accept her body the way it is, through various ebbs and flows of perimenopause, menopause, whatever it is, to age gracefully. And it means like people should grant us and women, and especially women in the industry, the freedom to change, age, gain weight, leave their hair gray if they want to, do what they would like, and they're comfortable with their bodies. We are entitled to that freedom, and I think it's really sad, that we've normalized like commenting on weight. Of course, it's been a part of the Indian subculture for the longest time. We don't come and say कि आपकी उम्र क्या है. We'll say कि अरे कमजोर हो गई हो, वजन बढ़ा लिया है. It's just, it's just, everybody is allowed to say that. We normalize commenting on weight in India specifically. And now more so, because now we are on that platform where there's no policing. People are free to,
It's free for all.
anonymously comment.
True.
So nobody's going to know, right?
Ishita, I want to come in at this point, and this program is not sponsored by any brand, as it were, that I'm going to be talking about at this point. But
Sure.
it's very important to bring this in. Aishwarya is also representing a brand. And
Yeah.
she's gone through several phases of her being a woman and an achiever. And she's gone through brickbats, praise, and all of that. But it's also very strong messaging that, I mean, right during her pregnancy, after she gave birth to her lovely daughter, there was again a whole lot of criticism. How about she's not come back, back to her normal, quote unquote, normal weight, how she's not been able to get back in shape. And the fact that she remained the face of that brand, I think, is a very, very deep messaging
Absolutely.
through
I
these
mean,
years, even now.
right. And I really, big ups to the brand itself, because, in this fickle world, there are brands that would, want to kind of fit that beauty box that
Absolutely.
trying to like break. And they've done so perfectly. Firstly, their representation across the board with the actors they pick, all beautiful women, but they're not necessarily the same norm of beauty that you and I are prescribed to, or that's the beauty of it. And they've stuck with her. The fact that Ash has continued to, present herself with such grace and show up for her authentically show up is for me a greater takeaway, because I think L'Oreal is authentic, and any brand that wants authenticity will stick with um, people who are authentic and not trying to be somebody else. That's the whole point here, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely. You know,
I really want to just jump in here and say
sure.
one thing though, that don't you find that it's a little bit of a uh, uh, interesting fact that when a man who has like a George Clooney shows up with silver hair, we call him the silver fox, okay? But the moment a woman changes physically, suddenly the headline is like, what happened to her? Again, that's a double-edged sword, because if she were to maintain herself when she was thin, definitely she's on Ozempic.
Right.
If she is not graying her hair, coloring her hair, she's let herself go.
Right.
And so men age into character, but basically women are expected to kind of age invisibly, not like, ruffle any feathers.
Absolutely.
And it's just really bizarre, right? How is that okay? That we are, इसने maintain करा है अपने आप को.
I can't agree with you more. And I just want to, I know you're very short on time as well. Thank you so much for taking time out. It was a very short notice that we reached out to you. I think a very simple thing that I do want to speak about, and this is also about the Indian psyche. This is actually about the Indian psyche, because a lot that we are discussing is about how Indians are reacting to what they are seeing. Indians need to get used to women achievers. And they do not come in any one form.
You're right.
Women have are varied just like any human being is. And Indians need to get used to that. Thank you very much, Ishita Arun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And I really hope that we can really push, expand our mind. I mean, at this time when there are so many things that are actually popping up, which are related to the same sort of mentality, if you dig deep, all of these things that we're talking about in different aspects of what's happening with women across the board, whether it's in the industry or crimes against women, they come from one mentality. We need to kind of address that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ishita Arun. All right, and I'm also being joined by Dr. Sanjana John, who's a filmmaker and visionary global fashion cultural leader. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjana John, for joining us. I believe you're live from Italy. How do you make sense of what you are seeing at the red carpet at Cannes? Let's start with all that's happening around Aishwarya Rai. I mean, she owns Cannes for India like nobody does. 2003 onwards, year on year on year. And despite all the sick comments that many times come across, and as I have said, looks are one part of it. Body shaming, getting personal, is completely different. And it's not just about Aishwarya. This is deeper.
I agree with you. It's a pleasure joining you on this very pertinent topic, because from school days, we have been a part of Cannes. In fact, even this year, we were to go. We had a couple of pictures that we were looking at promoting. And as a person who's been in this industry, having seen the representation globally on the red carpet, Aishwarya rules the red carpet because of not just beauty, but because of the confidence and the elegance that she brings to it. And over the years, in fact, the first year, we were there from school when she was, representing herself at Cannes. And I remember watching her shoot out there for the brands. And over the years, every year, she's reinvented herself and not made it look too Indian, but culturally integrated with what represents the Cannes Film Festival. There are people which I see now, it's more costumey. And in fact, we were in discussions the last few days where we were talking about how it looked so costumey. We don't want to be known that way. India is great in fashion. And in fact, we are one of the most, I would say, historic fashionistas out there. And today, when you see people trying to be cliche and trying to present something just for media hype, that takes away. And here you have somebody who is just there as is. And like you said, very aptly, she is not looking at being accepted for what people want her to be, but for who she is. And I love the fact that she came with her daughter. I love
Absolutely.
the fact that she is representing the real women out there. And real women is not, a real woman is not really a size zero and, 6 foot. Here she is. And the fact that she chose to be who she is over the years, 2 decades, that's a long way to go. And the biggest achievement that I should say, she's recognized. Most people, as you've seen, and I've seen several comments come, when they walk the red carpet, they are there, but nobody knows who they are.
Right.
Versus she is known. And that's a integral part of walking the red carpet at the festival. And the biggest, I think she shines above all. And I think right now, the festival in discussion is something that represents fashion. And I think she was the best. I mean, she really stood out in fashion. And you can't say, I mean, you have an Oprah Winfrey, you have so many women who are real women and they can be fashionistas. So it's that the mentality of the people kind of hones into something which is a prefixed notion of size zero. I think media does play a very integral, strong role, pivotal role, and it's a huge I would say, deterrent to the youngsters. She's showing strength to every
Absolutely.
teenager, to every young woman who's coming up to say, hey, just you are beautiful as you are, versus saying, no, you got to go and, be skinny to look beautiful. So I think in sharp contrast, here you have a real woman, proud and elegant as she is, and she chose to represent India in the best way over the last 20 years. And we should be proud of the fact that she is one of the most recognized, accepted, and highlighted stars that India has.
Absolutely. In fact, Dr. Sanjana John, here's possibly my last question to you. Um, is this an India problem? You're a filmmaker. You're part of the fashion industry in a very, very niche way. You have a very different inside perspective on this. Is this an India problem? Or does this go beyond India as well?
All over the world for sure. If you look at most countries, yes, it is a mindset that people choose that this is the prefix notion of beauty. You have to be a certain color, that more so in India than in most places. But all these parameters are set by media. It is set by the branding. It's set by the I would say the mavericks who create these idyllic idols out there. So it's up to us to change that. It's up to the audience. And now you're seeing that social media plays such an important, pivotal role. It's
Right.
time that we stood up and said, hey, you know what? I am who I am. I don't care about what you are telling me to be. I will be who I want to be. And I think that change has to come for the next generation to be accepted better. And in India, again, when you look at every film, why is that connotation of being fair, being, a certain look? Like even when you look at the matrimonial columns, there are so many specifics that come up. It's time women change that. And it's
Right.
time that
I think Aishwarya is
the
clearly changing it. She's really leading
she
with an example.
definitely is. Yes.
And as I said,
And
you may really like what she's wearing, what she's not wearing. Fair enough. Everybody can have an opinion about that. That's
yeah,
okay.
that's her. Yes.
But I think everybody
And
needs to understand, just because you're a woman, in any capacity, there's a full stop. It's not unending. You just can't go on and on and on and on about things that are none of your business. I mean, Dr. Sanjana John, one last question that I do also want to ask you, if I think we have enough time for that. You're also a
Yeah.
filmmaker. Do you think Cannes for India holds a kind of relevance that it's really about? Is it become more of a fashion spot than about films? Because nobody's talking much about the Indian films that
Yes.
got represented enough, not enough, that's a very different thing. But we're talking about fashion and, how do you look at that?
I You actually raised something that's been, I think a lot of people have been talking about it, but not really spoken about it much. And it's so true. You see all these random people walking the red carpet, and you're like, what is going on? Because when we used to go, you had to be part of something relevant. Like you had a film or you were representing a brand. I mean, there was a connection between the red carpet and the person. I mean, now you just have people walking and they're making, like I said, a costumey statement, which is not actually what the festival is all about. This is not the Met. This is not, where you have to, dress up a certain way to represent a certain concept. No, this is about fashion. And
Right.
normally, the women who come there, I mean, Michelle Rodriguez, who's a dear friend, she was there for Fast and Furious, looked amazing. You had Julia Vantur. They had, I mean, every look of hers was amazing, but they had a film and they
Right.
were promoting that. So it made sense. But without a film, without nothing to just go, that is kind of senseless. And it's only like, I would say, media seeking, a lot of people laugh over it. In fact, I have so many friends over the years who have come, and I'm seeing it like surge over the past few years, where people think just to go get dressed and that to put something, and they hold things to kind of promote something, and you're
Right.
like, no, this is not the red carpet of Cannes Film Festival. You have to be connected in some way with the festival to be doing this. So you're absolutely right. High time
Right.
that there was some kind of restraint and constraint over what and who walked the red carpet.
Dr. Sanjana John, thank you very much for taking the time out, for talking to us, and
course.
for raising your voice. It means a lot. Thank you so much.